The galaxy was home to innumerable civilizations, each with its own distinct culture and accomplishments. The cosmic musicians were the most highly regarded entities in the universe. Sound and vibration experts had been honing their skill for millennia. Instruments were technical marvels that could generate holographic art and produce frequencies that could cure wounds, could even change the atmosphere of a whole crowd. Because, to them, music was more than just art, but an exact, regulated, and sophisticated science that is far more advanced than when Earth's music was discovered. It was perceived by every other species as being undeveloped and uncultured, in contrast to the complex mechanisms. The instruments, strings, brass, and percussion seemed ludicrously simple. Since their tonal devices could mimic the sound of a violin, why would galactic musicians have created one? Why Bob? With a guitar, when galactic synthesizers could create 1,000 times with perfect accuracy? Verse music to them lacks depth and elegance, and there are countless versions of its tambour. At the flip of a switch, intent, but occasionally curiosity accompanies mockery of galactic scholars, discovered recordings of Earth's compositions and was fascinated by their melodies, but disdainful of how they were performed. They came to the conclusion that music was an emotional but raw output of a species that was still suppressed. When the fundamentals of sound were discovered, it seemed ludicrous that such basic creations could arouse strong emotions. Their music resonated so powerfully among themselves, and this sensation spread, undoubtedly due to human naivete. The galactic musicians took great satisfaction in the engineering of Earth's instruments. Their sound machines are incredibly complex, efficient, and visually stunning. To these interstellar virtuosos, a piano was a remnant of a past period, and they mocked human designs. For example, it appeared outdated, ineffective, and awkward, and was merely a large box with strings and hammers. The idea that making music required physical exertion was absurd to creatures who had long since surpassed such limits. Their distrust went beyond human instrument mechanics. They felt that they were constrained by their own nature. For example, a drum could only create a specific range of sounds, and a flute could only produce rhythmic beats, and the sound of a trumpet was naturally harsh and brassy. However, galactic instruments may mimic all of these sounds and more, combining them in a seamless way to create compositions that challenged the notion that humanity could accomplish anything noteworthy with such. As their knowledge of human music grew, they found it impossible to imagine using antiquated instruments, but they started. Despite the fact that galactic compositions were perfect, they frequently felt sterile. The sounds were perfection. Occasionally lacked the flair that made music stand out. Even if human music was full of flaws, it nevertheless had a raw, unadulterated intensity. Every little offbeat drum beat and barely missed piano note adds to its allure, provided a level of authenticity that was impossible for galactic compositions to match, but it wasn't impossible for humans to accomplish. They didn't view precision as the end aim, and this insight didn't result in instant respect. If anything, it strengthened the idea that people were emotionally motivated and dependent on computers. For galactic musicians, music was a technological endeavor rather than a matter of aptitude, designed to elicit particular responses and outcomes. But music was profoundly individual expressions of happiness, grief, triumph, and loss. In this divergence in the great cultural divide between Earth and the galaxy was brought to light by philosophy and the arrival of about a unique earthly artifact, a grand piano, and its voyage to the galaxy stage was entirely unintentional, either the consequence of a diplomatic discussion or an unsuccessful attempt to introduce human culture to the larger universe, regardless of why it was received with astonishment that the large, cumbersome gadget didn't fit in with the sleek, modern designs of Galactic. The piano's mere appearance in performance halls was an affront to the galaxy's musical elite's exquisite aesthetic. Galactic engineers dismantled and discarded it after analyzing its interior machinery and thought the strings, hammers, and keys were ridiculously basic. There was little complexity in the design, which seemed almost too simple to work. Sophisticated technology, only a mechanical device that generates sound, despite their contempt, galactic musicians were a step backward, a holdover from a less developed society. Curiosity was aroused by the piano's existence because it was unlike anything they had ever seen, and they were able to duplicate its music effortlessly. And the instrument's physicality captivated them all. A hammer hitting a string produced a sound that reverberated through the air when a key was pressed. Galactic instruments lacked the tactile sense that the room provided. The piano, however, had always been a tool of intellect and accuracy, separate from the physical world. Needed communication, work, and feeling, and this interest increased when the piano was illustrated how to play. The pist gestures and key pressing seemed almost theatrical. However, the usage of pedals brought a level of performance that was not present in galactic music. The piano wasn't just an instrument. It had a familiar tone that carried a depth and passion that was hard to duplicate. This first presentation showed that the instrument was a means of expression, with each note bearing the weight of human emotion. Didn't persuade the skeptics, but it did so by raising the possibility that human music was more complex than they had thought. Assumed that the piano's sound, despite its imperfections, was effective despite its modest construction, was evocative, and despite its modest appearance, it was tough to overlook for more. When galactic musicians first started to doubt their conception of music, was it conceivable that they had overlooked something essential in their quest for perfection? Setting the stage for a change in viewpoint, whereby what had begun as contempt and mockery was gradually giving way to respect and curiosity. Once written off as a relic, the grand piano has come to represent humanity's distinctive approach to music and serve as a reminder that, in certain cases, simplicity and imperfection can do what accuracy and intricacy cannot. The cosmic musician's grand piano signaled the start of a unique exploration, and the initial responses were conflicting, mostly inclined toward skepticism. The instrument's design was unlike anything they had ever seen, and its size, it differs from their advanced digital due to its acoustic nature and mechanical intricacy. Instruments, but because of its rarity, it became a topic of interest. The simplicity of its string-based hammer and key mechanism was considered antiquated, but interestingly, the piano's reliance on manual input seemed virtually unthinkable in a society that emphasized technical advancement. Unrefined, and its sound was unexpected when initially heard. Galactic musicians were accustomed to flawless tones, with precisely balanced frequencies and an infinite number of possible variants. With ease, the piano created a sound that was far from flawless, with each note carrying a slight variations of reverberation and warmth that their machines were unable to reproduce. The grand piano appeared to convey something deeper with each note and chord than just making noise. Playing the piano itself was an experience that captivated them with an inexplicable passion. Revelation galactic instruments needed little in the way of physical contact, depending on the stringing. It was a very different sensation to witness the piano being played with automated systems or thought-based controllers. Every movement of the pianist's hands across the keys demonstrated a link between the musician and the instrument. An engrossing performance that blended sound was produced by the timing of every note and the minute pedal modifications. Galactic musicians, who saw music as a human endeavor, were unfamiliar with this combination of emotional and physical expression. The sound of the piano added a new level of complexity to their comprehension of music galactic, an abstract art form. Although musicians concentrated on accuracy, the piano's sound was naturally expressive. A single note could arouse emotions of melancholy or desire. The piano's faults, which include small changes in tone, Contrast with the work's calculated and frequently sterile quality. And resonance gave its music depth. Galactic musicians started to understand that these shortcomings were not defects, but rather characteristics that enhanced the demonstration's authenticity and emotional depth. As the galactic audience's responses progressed, what at first seemed to be a holdover from a previous era started to change, appeared to have attributes they had never thought of, and the piano's dynamic range was astounding. Generating powerful resonant chords and delicate, soothing melodies, its capacity to express a variety of emotions questioned their understanding of what a tool could accomplish. This was more. The grand piano's most remarkable quality was its capacity to connect, which went beyond sound to tell stories through music. Although technically flawless, galactic music frequently lacked this with its listeners. Connection. It was appreciated for its intricacy and inventiveness, but the piano, on the other hand, hardly ever evoked feelings. Galactic musicians, who had long held the belief that a hand was reaching straight into their hearts, the piano made them reevaluate their belief that perfection was the pinnacle of musical endeavor. The piano's tactile imperfections could have an equal or even greater impact. Additionally, nature left a lasting imprint. As technology improved, galactic instruments eliminated the experience of music was developed to satisfy the demand for physical contact through mental motions, or the piano is automatically sequenced, but the musician must interact with it. The musician and the instrument developed a physical link as a result of this interaction, making the performance an intensely intimate encounter. Galactic musicians started to realize that this physicality was a strength rather than a constraint. Distinctive vigor that gave the song a level of humanity and authenticity that their instruments were unable to duplicate. The piano's versatility, which was one of its most unexpected features, despite being a single instrument that could create a vast range of sounds and styles, from modern music to classical compositions. Galactic artists were unparalleled in their use of the piano's versatility. We were impressed by its range and adaptability because we are used to employing various instruments to attain similar effects, emphasized how inventively it was made and how imaginative the people who played it were. The piano wasn't just an instrument that provided a stage for infinite expression. The piano's emotional impact was unquestionably. Galactic musicians were profoundly impacted after previously dismissing human music as simple. Through its influence, they started to appreciate the importance of emotion in music, something that had been neglected in their quest for technical perfection. The music played on the piano was felt as much as heard, broke down the boundaries of language, culture, and species to create a deeply universal shared experience. After this encounter, cosmic musicians who had before mocked human music and instruments developed a renewed appreciation for them, came to consider the piano as a source of inspiration because of its uniqueness and the prospect of learning from a less evolved species. Attributes prompted them to investigate new ideas and questioned their preconceptions about music. Opportunities, the grand piano had not only given them a new perspective on music, but also reminded them of its more profound goal of inspiring, connecting, and expressing what words. Ultimately, the piano's influence beyond its music. It symbolized a philosophy of music that prioritized connection and emotion over intricacy and expression efficiency. After years of believing their technology was better, galactic musicians now understood that the simplicity and genuineness of human instruments taught us a lot. The grand piano, which was previously written off as a primitive antique, has evolved into a bridge that represents a new understanding between two branches of human compositions. The piano was more than just a bridge between two worlds that shared a common language, music. New phase in the investigation of Earth's music by galactic artists, which began as skepticism and developed into a sincere desire to comprehend the richness and intricacy of human compositions. The piano was more than just tool for sound, it evolved into a means of accessing the diverse range of human emotions expressed through music. As they dug deeper, galactic musicians recognized a deep bond between the instrument and the culture it reflected. Earth's song and the piano's ability to transmit it provided a unique emotional depth. That galactic melodies were more than just notes linked together in compositions. They conveyed tales of joy, sadness, hope, and human greats like Beethoven, Chopin, and WBC's Songs of Melancholy demonstrated a variety of feelings that struck a profound chord with galactic musicians accustomed to ascending as a means of accurate communication. Music started to be seen as a storytelling medium, changed their understanding of music as an emotive art form rather than a calculating endeavor, like the galaxy Earth's music. Was examined by artists who saw how people utilized it to manage their emotions, and moreover, the versatility of the piano, in particular, was crucial to this process. Enabled it to express a wide variety of emotions, from the lively rhythms of a funeral march to the solemn tones of the instrument's ability to smoothly transition between several emotional states in a celebratory tune was unique. Everything the extraterrestrial musicians had experienced, it became evident that human music was intricately linked to life's complexity, acting as a release and a mirror of the cooperation between human and canon. An important step in bridging the cultural divide was taken by galactic musicians who started to try to mimic the expressive aspects that made the piano so special by experimenting with it. Despite being flawless technically, their early endeavors lacked the emotional connection that made them human. This discrepancy revealed a basic difference in how people approached making music. Not just galactic musicians, in turn, infuse each note with personal significance utilizing their hands and hearts. Learned to accept this viewpoint by combining their technological know-how with their newly discovered emotional intelligence. This cooperation produced intriguing musical innovations by galactic musicians. Motivated by the piano's design, they started modifying their instruments to include its features and tried out developing hybrid instruments that fused their cutting-edge technology with the piano's tactile qualities. These new well-packed efforts, while adding distinctive galactic characteristics like wider tone range, creations maintain the emotional depth of human music. Ranges and multifaceted soundscapes, the combination of these two realms produced works that were both emotionally stirring and technically sophisticated. And the piano's impact went beyond individual compositions and performances. It spurred a more extensive cultural exchange between people and the established bands of music. They also learned about human history, philosophy, and the importance of each piece of music served as a window into the human experience, providing insight into the struggles, victories, and goals that this cross-cultural interaction helped humanity better understand the planet and promoted a feeling of interconnectedness that went beyond the boundaries of technology and animals. Human musicians also profited from this interaction by learning about the sophisticated methods and instruments used by the extraterrestrial musicians. Knowledge exchanged back and forth strengthened both parties, resulting in a human renaissance of creativity and innovation. Galactic music started to be used into songs, fusing their rich emotional traditions with galactic artists, embrace the unpredictable, while futuristic sounds and the dignity of human performances, which give their creations a degree of reality. Despite its ostensibly straightforward design, the piano's versatility was a major factor in its success. To play a variety of musical genres, including modern and classical, its adaptability makes it the perfect tool for investigating the merging of galactic and human music. The piano's versatility astounded artists who had previously depended on specialized instruments for particular genres. Its adaptability to span various musical traditions became a representation of the possibility for harmony and cooperation between their cultures. The piano's effect went beyond music and became a means for promoting understanding and compassion among galactic musicians who had originally disregarded Earth's music as archaic, but were profoundly impacted by the tales and feelings it expressed. A deeper understanding of human culture and inventiveness was spurred by the emotional connection. The piano, once a symbol of 1000%, the idea of humanity's inadequacy, turned into evidence of their inventiveness, and galactic musicians realized that the piano's lessons about perseverance extended beyond its sound. Was not only about the notes, it was also about the silences and gaps between them. In their own works, the pauses and the moments of expectation are frequently disregarded. The piano's ability to produce such tense and releasing moments was a revelation, adding depth and meaning to the song, demonstrating to them that music might be as much about what was not performed as it was about human cooperation. And the piano remained to be a unifying instrument for galactic musicians, acting as a reminder of the universal language of music, which could express feelings and concepts without the use of words. Instrument's timeless appeal stemmed from its universality and simplicity, which struck a chord with audiences everywhere. Once written off as an antique, Galaxy the Grand Piano has come to represent the piano offers countless opportunities for creativity and teamwork. Galactic musicians had a fresh understanding of the intricacy and beauty of human music after learning to appreciate flaws as a source of genuineness and consider music to be a mirror of life's challenges. And, moreover, the piano's impact went beyond the notes it produced, influencing their attitude to music and providing inspiration. The instrument had not only altered their perception of music, but also expanded their ability to explore new horizons. Their relationship with the humanity it symbolized, the invention of the grand piano, caused a major shift in the theory behind galactic music. Up until that point, their method had placed less emphasis on the piano's ability to convey emotion and more on technical innovation and perfection. Galactic musicians were forced to reevaluate the meaning of music after challenging these norms, and they started to perceive it not just as a medium for demonstrating technical mastery, but also as an effective means of communication and narrative. This change signified the start of a musical revolution that spread throughout the galaxy. The first shift occurred in the galactic musicians, who had hitherto depended on algorithms and sophisticated computing to produce flawless compositions. They began investigating more natural techniques, including integrating human methods like improvisation and dynamics to express emotion. The piano's vast array of tones and expressive possibilities served as a template for this novel method used by composers. Tried out songs that focused more on getting an audience reaction than on being flawless. Both composition and performance were impacted by this new perspective. Efficiency has always been important to galactic musicians, who frequently use automated systems like the piano's thought-based controls illustrated the importance of the human element in music. The tangible minor timing changes, the emotional intensity of a performance, and the musician and instrument interplay. Live performances became the main focus of their education, and musicians started to value expression and genuineness over technical perfection, producing performances that struck a deeper chord with their audiences as this change gathering speed. The piano's influence was felt on every galactic level. The once elite pursuit of society music became more widely available, and the piano's physical quality and emotional impact played a crucial part in this metamorphosis. Proved that music may serve as a universal language that could bridge gaps in technology and culture. Audiences in space, who had before appreciated the intricacy of music, started to recognize the piano's capacity to arouse common feelings and experiences. It also served as inspiration for the development of galactic engineers are captivated by the mechanical design of new equipment and technologies, aimed to incorporate its ideas into their sophisticated systems. The outcome was a slew of hybrid instruments that blended the innovative characteristics of galactic gadgets, combined with the piano's haptic contact, made it possible for extraordinary expressive possibilities that allow musicians to experiment with new sonic landscapes while maintaining the emotional profundity of traditional music. This blending of the ancient with the modern and the impact that made it a hallmark of the galactic music revolution of the piano went beyond its technical uses in music to become a representation of cross-cultural dialogue and reciprocal human and galactic community respect. The cooperation between through the piano. Human and galactic musicians promoted a greater awareness of one another's customs and ideals. Galactic musicians learned the value of being vulnerable and having flaws, which were frequently visible in their music and can be used to express their creativity. However, this newfound respect for human music, which was lacking in their own creations, changed their perspective on Earth, and the effects of this change on Earth as a creative and cultural force were particularly seen in galactic concerts, which experienced a significant transformation. These events, which had previously been dominated by intricate demonstrations of technology and accuracy, started to include the grand piano frequently took center stage in human music and performances. Audiences are captivated by its emotional impact because to its rich and deep tones. Galactic musicians welcomed this shift since music fostered a sense of connectedness that went beyond language and species, employing their acts in hitherto unheard of ways to arouse emotions and communicate stories. Other facets of galactic culture were also impacted by the change in musical philosophy, as music started to play a more important function in healthcare, education, diplomacy, and even its ability to express nuanced emotions makes it a useful teaching tool for empathy and communication. It's soothing, and the grand piano's healing properties were used in hospital settings to encourage recovery and well-being. One of the most significant consequences was that the formerly antiquated relic became a symbol of innovation and advancement in various sectors. Of the piano's impact was the harmony it provided to the galaxy music, which was previously thought to be an individual or extracurricular. The music of the piano became a common experience that brought people together over great distances. Reminder that human emotions are universal, a common thread that united disparate political beliefs. It developed into a stimulant for cooperation and comprehension, creating a feeling of solidarity in a galaxy that has frequently been split along cultural and technological lines and philosophy. The piano's role in the galactic music revolution was not without. Some musicians found it difficult to break with deeply rooted traditions in order to embrace a new ideology, held on to the idea that technical perfection was the pinnacle of achievement and opposed the transition. But the most seriously ignorant often made the transition easy. Even the most skeptics were eventually won over by the piano's indisputable power and capacity to connect. Encourage and demonstrate that music was an expression of the human spirit rather than merely a demonstration of talent. Long after it was first introduced, the grand piano's legacy continued to influence galactic music, inspiring a generation of musicians to push the limits of expression and creativity, and its impact appeared everywhere in the galaxy, from the most opulent music halls to the poorest settlements. Not only transformed music, but also reinterpreted its social function, becoming a representation of the timeless ability of art to unite people, challenge stereotypes, and effect long-lasting change. The revolutionary potential of cross-cultural interaction was demonstrated by the galactic music revolution. Once disregarded and undervalued, the piano has evolved into a device that bridges worlds, reminded the galaxy that the fundamental purpose of music is to express and connect. The journey of the piano from Earth to the stars was not just about an instrument. It was also about recognizing development and the universal human need to use ART for communication. This change marked the start of a new era in galactic music and culture rather than the journey's conclusion. The galaxy's introduction of the grand piano signaled the beginning of a significant cultural change that would have a lasting impact. Its influence on interstellar society went beyond music, becoming a representation of oneness and evidence of the strength of collective XPA experiences, which started as a basic earthly instrument and developed into become an instrument for overcoming cultural divides and encouraging closer ties amongst many. The legacy of the piano was its capacity to reinterpret music's function as a solitary art form in earlier cultures. Or as a means of technical exploration, music evolved into a communication, comprehension, and cooperation in galactic societies who had previously placed a high priority on accuracy and efficiency started to see the benefits of combining artistic originality and emotional resonance, the piano's rich and diverse vibrancy, reminding them that music was as much about the experience of the listener as the performer's intention. Vivid represented in the approach and appreciation of music galactic composers, originally motivated by the desire to technical perfection, started concentrating on making heartfelt pieces. The piano's expressive qualities made it a key instrument in this new era, enabling pieces that explored these works' themes of connection, hope, and vulnerability, struck a deep chord with me, with viewers overcoming linguistic and cultural obstacles to produce moments of emotional clarity that are experienced by all, the grand. Additionally, the piano came to represent cooperation and cross-cultural exchange. Its presence in educational facilities and concert halls around the galaxy served as a reminder of Earth's role in the larger interstellar cultural tapestry. The result of human and galactic artists working together was the creation of music from a hybrid compositions that blended the finest aspects of both traditions. These innovations enhanced the musical landscape of the galaxy, demonstrates how variation can inspire creativity. One of the piano's most significant effects was its capacity to promote harmony in a frequently divided galaxy. The piano's music acted as a unifying force despite cultural and technical divides, with its melodies originating in inherently relevant human experience, established a foundation for comprehending other cultures and global history. The piano's musical performances to promote diplomacy, goodwill, and the construction of bridges across cultures. The piano's global tone made it a diplomatic weapon. The piano's impact spread to other spheres of galactic culture as a language of harmony and cooperation. It was used in education to teach students not only musical abilities, but also empathy and emotional intelligence. Through learning to play the piano, students from a variety of backgrounds came to understand the value of expression and the tactile quality of the instrument and the physical work necessary to become proficient in it, highlighted the importance of discipline and commitment traits that were admired in the field by people from different cultural backgrounds. The piano's therapeutic potential in healthcare was proved by its reputation as a treatment for below-the-neck pain therapeutic. Restorative properties were employed in a variety of medical settings to encourage recovery and health. Hospitals, clinics throughout the galaxy started integrating live piano concerts into their daily care regimens after realizing the piano's function in healthcare was emphasized by its capacity to lower stress and promote emotional healing. Its adaptability and the significant influence that music has on both physical and mental health. A reassessment of artistic traditions and values that galactic societies had long prioritized was also prompted by the grand piano. They started going back over their own musical history in light of what they had discovered about innovation and advancement. They rediscovered the value of emotional connection and storytelling in their own cultures, which resulted in the piano is a representation of the renaissance of traditional music. Appreciation was frequently included in performances that combined traditional and modern elements. Innovations such as the piano's legacy was not limited to artists and professional musicians. It was incorporated into many towns throughout the galaxy, have organized piano recitals as part of their daily lives. People learned to play it as a way to express themselves, and local festivals promoted its music. It was valued not only for its music, but also as a component of galactic culture due to its accessibility and adaptability. The piano's journey from Earth to the galaxy, however, also acted as a potent reminder of the interdependence of all cultures. Its design was not the only factor in its success or music, but also to the Galactic Society's readiness to accept something novel and unique. The piano turned into a symbol of the possibility of development and change that results from transparency and cooperation. Its music once this metamorphosis, which was derided as unsophisticated, demonstrated that beauty and significance might be discovered in unexpected places. Was difficult to adjust to a new musical theory. It took a readiness to challenge accepted conventions and accept vulnerability. Galactic musicians had to put aside their need for perfection and accept the flaws that contributed to the authenticity of human music. Method was frequently unsettling but ultimately fruitful, resulting in a greater understanding of the depth and variety of musical styles. The grand piano's impact kept growing, motivating new generations of exhibitionists existing in the galaxy acted as a continual reminder to songwriters and artists. The instrument's journey from a representation of the transformational potential of music and the significance of cross-cultural interaction, mockery, to a source of harmony, proved that art can heal divisions and produce enduring bonds. The piano's function in galactic society only expanded in the years that followed, becoming a mainstay of festivities. Its music was played at significant events, from interstellar summits to ceremonies and times of introspection. The piano's capacity to arouse feelings and unite people guaranteed its place as a personal milestone. The grand piano is ultimately one of the galaxy's most treasured cultural treasures. Legacy's straightforward yet enduring music served as a tribute to the human spirit's tenacity and the eternal power of creativity. The piano's journey served as a powerful reminder to the galaxy that art can influence our world in addition to reflecting it. From Earth to the Stars was a tale of exploration, development, and bonding that endured, a reminder that even the most basic constructions can be beautiful.